It's all hands on deck right now. Welcome to LAFC Plus episode 65. He is Mario Rees. I'm Dave Denholm. It's all hands on deck for LAFC Plus, but that's not what we mean, of course. Mario, good talking to you. We'll get into that in a moment. Always a pleasure, buddy. Episode 65. Would you believe it? I can't believe it myself.
Yeah, a lot of things going on with LAFC right now. League's Cup coming up. Just finished up with that derby match, which is still lingering for me, even though it was a draw, that still lingers. A lot to think about, a lot to talk about that game, and I think that's where we're going to start off, right, Dave?
Yeah, I think it is a good way to start. Look, we don't always look back necessarily too much on the show. We like to look forward, previewing stuff, talking about MLS. But, when something big happens or when it's a big match and maybe there's some things that are lingering from it that we have to discuss, we have to do it. And that's what we're going to do on this show. First things first, we'll lay it out there. It was a 3-3 loss. We all know that, right? Last kick of the match, or head of the match, as it were, almost literally, and 97th minute. I think what's almost worse, Mario, just in general, without breaking it down yet, you were up 3-1. This wasn't like 2-1, 2-2, 3-2, 3-3, just all back. Yeah. You were up 2-0.
You had a two-goal lead 2 times in the game.
Actually. 2 times. Like, you can't. Yeah. That's the one that you can't really shake too easily in this. That's what really hurts about it. And, of course, it's never fun to drop points, obviously, and never a good thing to drop points late in a match like that. But to do it when you're up 3-1 kind of late in that game, because Gabriel Peck's second goal for the Galaxy wasn't like in the 50th minute. I mean, that was deep in the match, almost the 80th, So you're talking, there wasn't that long to go. That's a and we've done it to teams a ton, so we know how it feels on the other end. Of course, it doesn't happen all that often to LAFC this way, though, when you have a 2-goal lead and you don't finish it off. So that's kind of the kick in the teeth. But we really have to get to the root of it. And I hate this. Look, there is nobody, no show, no podcast that loves this man more than we do. Well, who we're about to talk about. No one. For what he's been through, he is a warrior. And you know what? He was defending his teammate on the foul on David Martinez. So we cannot fault him for that. But boy, Eddie, I would have really loved you to maybe defend him in the locker room after the match or in the tunnel. Even if you had to get a red card then. I know that sounds crazy, right? I don't want the red card. That's a bad blow. But it's not even really about the red card for me in defending his teammate, which, again, you shouldn't do when you're a veteran like that. You can't grab somebody around the neck. Don't blame the referees. And I think people got off the blaming the ref pretty quick once they saw the replay. A lot of fans who were at the match were upset. Once they go home and see the replay, okay, yeah, that's a red card, right? So don't blame the referee. And you know me, I'm willing to give it to the refs, Mario.
Yeah.
And I don't even really, again, I understand the red card to a certain degree, in a sense. He lost his head. It does happen when you're defending a teammate. But you cannot do it in the midst of play. Right? I'm serious. Yeah. I mean that sincerely. If you want to confront this dude in the tunnel after the match, after you've won 3-2, and you've clinched the full 3 points, Eddie, then you want to go confront someone, and they catch you, and they give you a red card, I'll be like, oh, good job. I really would. Now,
you're totally right, Dave. I mean,
I don't want to see him missing a match, of course. Yeah, but you especially cannot do it when there's time remaining in a game that you have in your hand.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it's just plain and simple. He was defending his teammate, the youngster David Martinez, of course.
Sure.
I think Cuevas came in with a lot of intent on that tackle. And then there was 3 Galaxy players standing on top of David.
Sure.
After that foul, it was Cuevas, it was Fagundes, it was Peck. They're all standing on top of David when he's laying on the ground. And I think that's why you saw Eddie react the way he reacted. He rushed over there to defend, the youngster David. Everybody feels like David is like their younger brother, so they're trying to defend him. But still, that is not an excuse. That being said, Eddie, we love you, but you just can't, take it that far, especially put your hands around somebody's throat like that. Don't get me wrong. I know that emotions were flying because I was there pitch side when it happened. Fans, players, everybody was just, the emotions were just going. It was just a crazy feeling to have. And, towards the end of that match, but sometimes opponents, when they are down, they do stuff like this, right? Sometimes they see if they can get a card, or red card maybe, out of the opponent, and that's exactly
well, they think he's wasting
here.
time. Look, they're upset, they're frustrated, they're trailing in a derby match too. Just as much as Eddie Segura was frustrated about how they treated David, that's how much the Galaxy players are frustrated. They were going to lose. They were going to lose. And of course they don't want to lose to LAFC. They always play their best match against LAFC somehow twice a year. Which, again, shame on them, and their fans should be ticked off, again, because they somehow can perform against LAFC, one of the best teams in the league, and yet they get dumped by everybody else, ironically. I know that's a derby, but here's my point, too. Look, make no mistake. I'm not condoning violence. And quite frankly, Eddie's conduct on the soccer pitch, as it's related to the rules, was violent conduct, right? He grabbed the neck. That's why you get the straight red. That's the bottom line. So I'm not condoning that. Even in the tunnel afterward. I'm saying if you want to confront the guy, get in his face afterwards and let him know you didn't appreciate it. I'm not saying you've got to go get a red card after the match in the tunnel, but I'm saying handle your business off the pitch, right? And again, nothing violent. I'm just saying, we'll remember that one. We have to play you again, Diego Fagundes, because he was really the main culprit and all that. Even the Cuevas foul, he fouled him. We love that. We love that Mauricio Cuevas fouled David Martinez there. It was going to waste more time. As long as you're not injuring someone.
In the middle of all that chaos, Dave, pushing around those Galaxy players was Smolyakov, Artem Smolyakov. He was right there. I mean, I didn't know he was defending that tough his teammate and that strong. Yeah. He looked skinny, right, as a player, but no, this guy was right in the middle, and he was not backing down. And this is a guy that's typically a quiet guy, quiet dude, may not get all the minutes in the world, this season, but he was there, and it just showed like a lot of unity with this team, which is what I liked. I liked that they all stood up for each other, and he was one of the leading ones right there in front of everybody.
Yeah, look, in the long run, it's going to go a long way what Eddie did for his teammate. Like, David Martinez is going to remember that. I get it. But in the short run, my point being, yes, stick up for your teammate. Even if Eddie lost his head and kind of went over there and pushed him, again, not condoning it. You never know what a referee is going to do. He probably would have got a yellow, right? I mean, like, you get over there, you get in Diego's face. You make sure he knows he shouldn't be doing that. And that's why you're there. You cannot grab a guy by the neck. It's an automatic red. And it's in this day and age of VAR, you're not getting away with it 99.9999% of the time, of course. You're not going to get away with it. I know you're frustrated. Again, Eddie's a seasoned veteran. Look, I mean, I know he's like plays with an edge and he's a tough guy. He is, and he's a great teammate, clearly. But that is why they lost. I'm sorry. They were going to win. Now, that might be harsh. And it doesn't mean we should never play Eddie Segura. I want him back as soon as he's possibly able to get back in the lineup. We love Eddie. I know, it's as far as I'm concerned, it's forgiven and forgotten already, but you have to address it in the sense that was a win. And, I understand it's a bitter rivalry match. What if that happens in the playoffs, Mario? You might play the Galaxy some year. No, not this year, in all likelihood. I mean, but you know what I'm saying? Like, what if it happens against another team, even in the playoffs? You know what I'm saying? You get fired up.
Lesson learned.
Yeah.
Lesson learned, I think, for Eddie for sure in this one.
Yeah. And he's going to learn it by sitting out, of course. He won't be in the game Friday coming up against Portland, which obviously with the facts that the defense is already stretched thin doesn't help.
Yeah.
We'll get into a little more of that. But Mario.
And Denis was heated too, though. Denis was super heated after that match. Just like the rest of the stadium, they were calling for that final whistle. It was, 2 minutes past added time, and then Yoshida gets that header goal to tie it up. But Denis was really, really heated going after those refs as well. Good thing he didn't get a card. I'm happy about that. I'm also happy about Del Rosen. Del Rosen is really, really playing well, I think, for LAFC, and to get a goal in the derby match, is huge for a new player that comes to a new team, and looks like he's fitting in well with the black and gold right now. He enjoys playing with Denis. I can guarantee you that because, he's on the other side, right? So Denis opens up space for other players like Del Rosen.
Yeah, he does. And this is the goal that he scored. Now, Denis had a part of it before he could get an assist, let's say. He started the play earlier. You'll hear that. He doesn't end up with an official assist on this goal, but this was the goal that made it 2-0, and I really thought we were going to start running away with it at that point. Right. I really did. I got burned, admittedly. You should never feel like a derby is going to go one-sided. It just doesn't seem to happen.
You weren't the only one. Many of us thought it was going to be a breakaway point for LAFC.
Here's the goal from Javier Del Rosen to make it 2-0.
Sanabria
the wing. Hollingshead gets back to knock it away with a header. Denis Bouanga will chest it back into the corner here, but only 10 yards off the end line. Denis needs help. Flips it to Hollingshead, right back to Denis. Around one defender with a run, around another defender. Denis still dribbling through the defensive zone, laying into the run of Delgado. Good first ball. Ordaz is making a run down the wing. Into the area. Ordaz crosses all the way through. Dilrosun settles at the 6. Shot, back post, and in! LAFC score on the counterattack. It's 2-0! Oh, jump for LA Football Club. Ole! Ole! That goal set up early by Denis Bouanga's defense, deep in LAFC's defensive zone. They cleared it out and went to work near midfield. Nathan Ordaz gets into the 18 with some spectacular dribbling and lays it across for Dilrosun to settle and bury it. And Dilrosun did just that. Javairo Dilrosun, his second MLS goal. And what a setup on a counterattack by Nathan Ordaz. LAFC 2. LA Galaxy 0.
There really was some good goals right there by LAFC that night. You know, even the pass from Hollingshead and the first goal, that was just beautiful. I mean, you can't have a better pass than that one from Hollingshead to Denis. The weight on it, Denis just has to run onto it and just kind of open up the hip and just curl it around the keeper. And not an easy finish as well. So Denis doing good with his finishing. That's why he's up to 13 goals now and playing really well. One of the hottest players in all of MLS right now. But I did get a chance to talk to Jeremy Abobasi yesterday, and he, you know, as even keel as he is, he was pretty frustrated after the match. He kept his cool, of course, but we talked about that match, and we talked about the upcoming match against Portland as well. Wild finish to that derby match, the red card, the scuffle at the end, the game-tying goal. What are your thoughts, the way that played out at the very dying seconds of that match?
It's frustration for sure. I mean, in that game, when you come in as a sub, you know, the job is to see the game out. And so, you know, for that phase of the game to not be able to do that for the team and us as a collective, I think it's disappointing for sure. That said, we don't want that to take away from some of the progress that we have continued to make over the last series of games. And we understand that there are correctable mistakes, you know, keeping emotions in check, maybe being a little bit more assertive on the ball in the final minutes to limit their opportunities to go forward. There are some things that were readily identifiable and that, you know, hopefully we're going to see on Friday and beyond. So, you know, we take it in stride. It wasn't what we wanted, and I know I sound very even, but I'm very frustrated with how that played out. At the same time, it's done now, and the next step is the best chance to make amends.
Now, how hard is it for a player to turn the page on a match like that where you feel like you dropped the points in the match that you should have won? How hard is it to turn the page and get ready for the next opponent?
I think the night of, it's very difficult. The night of, I mean, the emotions were just needed to be kept in check. But once you know you have that night's sleep, you start to focus on the next game. You start to reflect on what happened, and you know you can reflect more holistically than just we lost the points in 10 minutes. And you know that if you get that chance against the Galaxy again this season, that you have to take that with you. This is the second time now that we've given up points at the end against them, and you know, we are a better team for it. We are together in what comes next. And so I think the page has been turned. We've had some good training sessions. We have a big game against Portland and an opportunity to hopefully make a run in Leagues Cup.
Now, Eddie goes out with the red card in that one, so you'll be missing him in this upcoming match along with some other key players as well. How important is that next man up mentality in LAFC's, you know, form right now?
I mean, that's the reality of the industry that we're in. You never know when your number is going to be called, but when it is, especially if it happens to be, you know, one of your first times playing for a club, it's just an opportunity to cement yourself a little bit further. The guys who maybe haven't played as many minutes this year have been extremely supportive, pushing guys every single day in training. And so for me as a teammate, although I'm not happy to see someone else be unavailable, whether through injury, through suspension or whatnot, I am happy that someone might have the chance to fight for that opportunity on the field. And if they do get on the field, then that'll be special. That'll be special, and I hope that they make the most of it, because I do remember my first opportunity with Portland. It came, you know, there were 2 red cards the game before. There were guys away on international duty. There was an injury maybe. I had to play, and I made the most of it, and it started to integrate me into the team a little bit further. And same thing with San Jose. When I got traded, it was kind of a new beginning, right? And so these opportunities, I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm excited for whoever gets on the field.
Your next opponent is the Portland Timbers. They're right below you guys in the Western Conference standings. You know you guys are going for the 3 points in this one at home. What makes them difficult coming in on this match here?
Yeah, again, another team that we felt we matched up with nicely in Portland and maybe could have gotten 3 points from. But I know first and foremost how hard it is to win as a road team in Portland. And so we want to show them how hard it is to win as a road team here in LA, which we've done for the most part this season. They're a difficult team. They're a team that is lethal on the counterattack. They have guys who are shifty, play really well off of each other. You know, guys that if they get confident can give any team a tough time. But as I said, we matched up nicely against them on the road, so there's no reason we can't do it here at home. We've also grown since that game. I think we've limited a lot of the maybe opportunities that a team like them would exploit. And so we're going to see an interesting matchup this weekend, but I'm bullish. I'm optimistic.
I want to talk a little bit about the All-Star game. We've seen players in the past like Zlatan or Messi not participate in the All-Star game. How do you think that affects players and teams and around the league, the fact that it's just 2 days before an MLS regular season game?
I think I'm happy to be political about this, but it is very difficult for a guy like Denis, who's been playing all season and played this weekend, and we have a Friday game. So he's playing tonight. He's got to fly from Austin and presumably be ready to play on Friday. I think that's asking a lot out of guys. And so, you know, if there's an opportunity to be mindful of the scheduling during All-Star Week where maybe we can create a little bit more separation on both sides, it's a huge honor to be an All-Star, and I've never had the chance myself, so I know that if my number were ever called, I'd be excited to make that trip. I also think that there's an opportunity to just fit it in a little bit better with the phase of the year, because we don't want to put guys in dangerous situations, flying across the country on a lot of minutes. What's supposed to be a celebration could then turn into an unfortunate situation. So it is what it is. I understand some of the players who take the actions that they need to, and I also understand if the league feels like, you know, they need to do something about the integrity of the All-Star game. So not really my place.
Especially for guys like Denis who want to be out there in every single regular season game for LAFC, right?
Yeah, I mean, Denis, I would have to tie him up and carry him off the field before he wanted to come off, and I think everyone understands that. So it's that energy that gives him the drive to go as hard in the first minute as he does in the 90th minute in game 1, as well as game 50. So it's the best thing, and then sometimes the people around him have to protect him from himself.
Right. Thanks for the time, Jeremy. Good luck in this one against Portland.
Absolutely. Thank you.
You best believe Denis going to be out there. If he's ready to go, if he's healthy, if his body feels good, you best believe Denis going to be ready to go at BMO this Friday night against the Portland Timbers.
Yeah, and then Mario's brings up a good point. That is the next match, as Jeremy said. It's so quick after the All-Star game, which was played, of course, Wednesday night. And then, boom, here he goes, Friday night. And there's several games in MLS on Friday. It's not just LAFC in Portland, in fairness. Mm-hmm. There are, several players who were in that situation. They didn't play a lot in the All-Star game for their, these All-Star standards in a sense. Denis Bouanga is not used to playing just 30 minutes a game, so he wasn't in for too long in that match, although when he was in there, by the way, dominated, set up the first goal for MLS. Not that I really care much about All-Star results. It's just a fun event, no doubt about it, but Denis looked darn good again. I mean, he was very sharp, Mario. He has to be sharp in this game against Portland, Friday night at BMO Stadium, of course. The Timbers have had a couple of key injuries of late themselves that have kind of slowed them up. David Da Costa, one of their new players, Anthony, who's had a very good, was having a very good season. Has some injury issues. That's kept them down a little bit, although they're just a point back of LAFC in the standings, despite the fact LAFC does have a few games in hand. But the Timbers are right there in it, Mario, in the West. You heard Jeremy Abobasi, former Timber, talk about it. Always tough. Home, away, it doesn't matter. They're going to give LAFC fits. This is a big rivalry. This is a crucial rivalry in the Western Conference.
Yeah, it's two really hungry teams in the Western Conference. fifth place, like you said, against sixth place, and they're just separated by 2 points only. So both these teams are coming in off of draws. Actually, both of them are coming in off of draws. They both want to get back to the win column. And when you're playing somebody in your conference, these matches have even more implications on the standings. So, but for this one, there is a couple missing players here. This upcoming match against Portland, LAFC will be without Sergi Palencia, one of our favorite players that we love to watch here, between me and you, Dave. And he's going to be away. He's getting his green card. And it's not really a bad thing. Of course, we're going to miss him in the game, but it's not really a bad thing because as he gets his green card, that would open up an international spot. So that could be used with this transfer window here in the summertime. So we'll see what happens there with that. But Sergi will be missing on this one. And of course, we know Aaron Long missing and Eddie Segura missing. So
you got an all-star lineup missing for, you got an all-star three-man back line there that's missing for this match, unfortunately. But as Mario said with the interview with Abobasi, next man up. So we'll see who's ready. And we saw Kosei Tafari has been ready since he's had to come in for Aaron Long with that injury.
Oh, yeah.
Even in the game, he had to come in for Aaron early in the game when Long was injured. He performed very well. Then he gets the starting nod, of course, after the Aaron Long injury and the surgery, and he's played great. So next man up, no excuses. The game counts for 3 points no matter who's out there wearing the black and gold. And as we all know, they all count the standings, and nobody cares at the end if you had injuries, if you had suspensions, like Eddie Segura is going to have to miss with the red card. It doesn't matter. You got to go out and get the points at home.
And LAFC have been lucky to be playing at home, right? They've been playing at home
true.
like all month long. A bunch of games lately at home. But to LAFC's credit, they've been taking care of business, gathering 10 points out of the possible 12 points in July. But this is that last game in this month of July where LAFC have a game here, and then it's breakaway for Leagues Cup for 3 games, and then it's come back to MLS for 3 road games.
So all in a row on the weekends with home, potentially home games in the Leagues Cup during the midweek, ironic. So it's not easy. Yeah, this is not, it would have been nicer to stack the home games now maybe, but that's just the way the schedule goes, as Mario said, and 3 tough road trips all the way back east, then to Chicago, New England, and, those are not easy trips. I'm not saying the game, look, LAFC can beat those teams. We know that, but no easy places to go, and you're going all the way across the country too. So that just adds up. There's no doubt about that. It's a good point, Mario. Mario mentioned Leagues Cup. That begins Tuesday coming up. We love Leagues Cup. Why? Well, first of all, we love playing Liga MX teams when it counts. There's a trophy on the line. Second of all, get you into Champions Cup if you perform well enough.
Oh, yeah.
Which can get you into Club World Cup if you perform well enough. I mean, that is important. So, we want to get in the Champions Cup first. And the way to get into that, one of the ways, since you don't have the U.S. Open Cup this season for LAFC, is the Leagues Cup. And we've qualified through the Leagues Cup in the past. Obviously, we've done very well, and so let's go get that done. And I got to tell you, though, Mario, the new format will explain that. The 3 teams LAFC play, not easy.
I was going to say, this group is like, I don't think it's a group of death because they're,
there's not a group because there's
6 teams in the,
there's
6 teams in the kind of like group, if you want to call it.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's some
You're
tough ones, Tigres is always going to be tough because they're stacked with talent. San Diego FC, who is first place in the Western Conference. You got Mexican side Pachuca, and then you got Houston Dynamo, who always play well and always have a crazy game against LAFC. And then you have the Mexican side Mazatlán. So it's a tough group there for LAFC to come out of.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, too. It's a different format. Not every team in MLS, not all the teams qualify anymore, right? So you have to be in the top 18, basically make the playoffs, in the
teams that made the playoff last year,
the previous year. So you qualify that way, which I love. I think that's a great idea to not have all the teams in it. You don't need 48 teams in this. So obviously Liga MX has 18 teams. So you take the top 18 in MLS, you split them up into these kind of pods or groups, 6 teams, but you don't play your own country in those. That's why it's not really like group play, where it's not 5 matches. Yeah, I agree. You play the other countries' teams, fine. So every game in the group stage is Liga MX versus MLS. Now, the format then becomes only the top 4 teams in each, or I should say the top 8 teams move on from these groups, right? From these pods, a total of 8. There's only 6 in each, So you have to get into the quarterfinals out of it. You're going to have to win a lot. You're going to have to really perform in these 3 matches. There are no maybe we get 4 points and we can move on. No, that ain't going to happen. You're going to have to win. You might be able to get out with 2 wins and a draw. Maybe 2 wins and a loss if your goal difference is phenomenal. I don't even know how that is going to shake down, Mario. But, Mazatlan, Pachuca, and Tigres, all of a sudden they're all playing well. Huge team. As you say, even Mazatlan, we thought, well, when the schedule came out, you're like, okay, Mazatlan, and they're decent. Not the tough. They're playing great. They're off to a good start in Liga MX. They improve their roster. They're going to be tough. Yeah. So this is not going to be easy for LAFC, certainly. And
I do like how they're trying to keep it Liga MX versus MLS as much as they possibly can, because in the past, I think you would get a lot of MLS versus MLS or Liga MX versus Liga MX, and people were really into that. Why do we want that?
Fine,
so
but
this time around, it's going to be a lot more of just the leagues playing against each other, instead of playing in the same league. So that's one of the issues that's been solved.
The quarterfinals actually have to be 4 MLS teams versus 4 Liga MX teams. There is no crossover even to the quarterfinal. So you have to be one of the best 4 MLS teams in this tournament, right?
Yeah.
Or be one of the best 4 Liga MX, and they're going to meet in the quarters. There's no crossover. You can't have an MLS team versus an MLS team in the quarterfinal. So you could have all semifinalists from one league, possibly, but at least there's representation all the way up to then, right? Yeah. So the quarterfinal matchups are going to be incredible. 4 MLS teams versus 4 Liga MX teams, that, based on how you did in the first 3 games of this. That's awesome. I think it's
if you're one of those final 4 in the MLS that have qualified, you might as well go out there and win this thing.
Oh, amen.
At least try to go for that 3rd place spot. That 3rd place spot can get you that CONCACAF champion spot.
Oh, gosh.
Which, of course, we all want to be in the FIFA Club World Cup. So this is how you go about doing that. That's why Leagues Cup does have a lot of, people want to win this thing. People want to get into the Leagues Cup,
Well, I've always thought that 3rd place matches are absurd unless you put something big on the line, of course, right?
Yes.
In a World Cup situation, you can't put money on, there's not here's a prize for the 3rd place team because you're playing for your country anyway. But I always felt that in the World Cup, if you're going to have a 3rd place match, the top 3 teams that finish in the World Cup should be automatically in the next one. Now, I know they took away.
I love that.
They took away the winner even getting into the next one, right? That used to be the case. If you won the World Cup, you were in the next World Cup to defend it. Top 3. If you're going to play a 3rd place match and make people pay money for it to go see, fine. Put a automatic trip to the World Cup on.
That would be huge. That would be so
of course.
Huge. You'd be celebrating that thing like you won it.
It would be almost as big as the final itself the day before.
Yeah.
I mean, really, right? Yeah. I mean, you got a 3rd place match where all of a sudden you're qualifying for the World Cup right there if you win it. That would be huge. I
love that.
And otherwise the game's fine. There's nothing wrong with 3rd place games. It's an honor to finish 3rd in the World Cup. Certainly those games have been hotly contested. But man, when you put something on the line like this for the Champions Cup, that is awesome. It's nail biting. If you don't win the semi, and then you got to go win another match against a tough team. Otherwise, you don't get anything out of the tournament. Just a 4th place. See ya. Oh, okay. Good job. You came in 4th. I mean, right? That's a killer. Yeah. And if you remember Nashville, wasn't it? Or no, was it Philadelphia? That's how they got in the Champions Cup that way. They took 3rd by winning that 3rd place game in the Club World Cup. The MLS side beating. Well, I want to say it was a pretty big MLS or pretty big Liga MX side. I mean, my memory's not as what it once was. This is just last year too, by the way, when LAFC lost in the final of the, but it was a 3rd place match where it was MLS versus Liga MX, and the MLS team won and got their way into Champions Cup because of that. So that's big. I mean,
oh yeah.
So I love this tournament. We know that, and I'm excited for this new format. I think it is a great idea, and also you keep playing MLS too. It's not as big a distraction. They keep playing Liga MX matches. You take a little break here for the start, but then you get right back to MLS. And then if you keep winning in the Champions Cup, or I'm sorry, in the Leagues Cup, great. Those are midweek by the time you get to the knockout stages. And I think the final is on Sunday, the 31st, actually. So I like that, Mario. How do you feel about this new format overall?
Yeah, I love it. It's got people excited again, and I love the fact that not all the MLS teams are in it. I love the fact that you have to qualify by making it to the playoffs. So it's also a reason to want to make it into the playoffs as well. You get rewarded for making the MLS playoffs. You get into the Leagues Cup as well. I like that. And I like, like I was saying earlier, the fact that Liga MX and MLS will be facing each other a lot more than just facing the team in your league.
Yeah, it's a very good point. There is other MLS action coming up Friday and Saturday. Games that we want to watch is a segment we like to do here. It's the plus of LAFC Plus. We'd like to cover the rest of the league. And Mario, I'm going to actually do my choice first, and then I'll leave you to last.
Yeah, go for
it. This week, I like San Diego versus Nashville. This is a very intriguing kind of East versus West against two great teams, which is fun. It's not just, not just East versus West. These are two teams battling for the top of their conference. Now, San Diego's kind of, I won't say they hit a wall lately, but they've had a little bit of a rough patch. It happens over the course of a whole season. They're still doing very well. Make no mistake. They're on pace potentially to break LAFC, one of the LAFC records, which is points in a season for an expansion team. So they are on pace for that, or we're right there up until this last game. So, and they're still ahead. They're top the West. Now, Nashville's breathing down the neck of the Eastern Conference leaders, Cincinnati. Nashville are right there, just a point behind. They both played 24 matches too. And Philadelphia's right there on the same amount of points as Nashville. So all three of those teams battling. And I think this is a very intriguing game, Mario, because we've seen a little bit of how San Diego's been very good, almost better on the road. I mean, I know the record is actually better on the road, but it's like...
Yeah, they've been struggling at home a little bit. They haven't won a game in San Diego in their last 3 home matches, so that's kind of tough. You want to be winning at home, and especially if you're a first-place team, you would think, oh, they're killing it at home. They're doing well at home, but it hasn't been the case as of late. So this would be a massive win for San Diego. But it's kind of cool when you get these interconference battles, especially when it's like a first-place team, San Diego, against a second-place team, Nashville, because they don't really face each other like very often, like when you face teams that are in your conference, you face them, of course, you're going to face them 2 times a year, but sometimes you don't face these teams, and it's kind of cool. They don't know each other very well. They got to get to know each other. But these are 2 top teams, and Nashville, like you said, they're going for that supporter shield, just 1 point shy. So they're gunning for that one. So this is going to be a good one in San Diego.
It's funny you mentioned that before you get to your choice. You say like you don't play the other teams. We do have those Eastern Conference games coming up, and I know I just said my memory is not great anymore. I'm getting old, but I can barely remember when we played Chicago. We're playing them in a few weeks, right? For this. When's the last? I mean, I can't even remember the Chicago matches against LAFC in the past, and I know we've played them, but it's like, and I do remember we actually took it on the chin in Chicago one time for sure. That was early days, but it, like Mario said, they don't come around that often, really. So yeah, it's kind of fun to have this kind of great matchup, San Diego, Nashville. Who's your game that you want to see this weekend, Mario?
So I'm going to go to the East with this, and I'm going to go with Inter Miami hosting FC Cincinnati. And you know that Miami is thinking, oh, it's payback time on this one, because these 2 teams just faced each other less than 2 weeks ago, and it was a blowout. It was 3-0 FC Cincinnati in Cincinnati. This time around, though, it's going to be in Miami, Chase Stadium, of course. So, Cincinnati is coming in as the Supporters' Shield leaders, dominating 48 points on the season so far. But they do have 3 more games in hand than Miami. Obviously, Miami is still recovering from the FIFA Club World Cup. So they're 3 points shy, kind of like 3 games shy, kind of like LAFC, where, still got games in hand. But for me, this is a showdown of 2 potential MVPs, 2 players that are just stars, Messi and Evander. Either one of those guys is going to run off with that MVP. And we've been talking about Evander all year long. We've been seeing all of his goals coming off the All-Star game, playing amazing as of late. But Messi's been killing it too. I mean, how many braces has he had in the past weeks? I feels like every single weekend he gets a brace. He had a brace over in New York against the Red Bulls in that 5-1 dominant win. So it's going to be a good one. going to be some
I want to say
fireworks.
he's had 5 braces in the last 6 or 6 in the last 7 MLS games, something like that. It's one of those, either 5 of his last 6 matches or 6 out of his last 7 have been braces.
I feel like every weekend they were like, oh, Messi got another brace.
Yeah, well, the only one he didn't was the Cincinnati loss, of course. They lost 3-0, as Mario said.
True,
so that was the only game he didn't
5
get
out of the last
lately.
6 then, probably, yeah.
Unbelievable. And, Miami, we talk about those games in hand, and we always talk about how important they are. They're 7 points back in Cincinnati with 3 games in hand. But that's why this is a 6-pointer. Because if you're still going to be 3 games in hand, right? You're playing Cincinnati, you're still going to have 3 games in hand, but you might be 10 points back or just 4 if you get a win. And, if you get a win or a loss, that's huge in this game for both Cincinnati and Inter Miami, either way. So I love that call. I mean, not just because, of course, it's star-studded, as Mario said, that's crucial too, but this game means so much in the chase for the supporter shield to boot. I mean, if Miami gets it, if Miami wins this game, I believe they'll be just about on they might be tops in points per game if they get this win. I don't know if anybody else would have more, even though they do now. Nashville, Philly, they're slightly like 1/100th of a point per game higher, but they have played 3 more matches than Miami too. So if Miami gets a win here, they may well be atop the supporter shield for points per game.
Right now in the season, we're at that point where every point matters. Like we're getting close to, coming down that final stretch of the season, so just like those points, those 2 points that LAFC dropped in the last game, those are huge points. And these games all coming up here. This one here, Friday night at BMO, this is a huge one. 3
You're
huge
exactly
points
right.
for the Western Conference standings.
LAFC hosting Portland Friday. Airtime for the pregame, 7 o'clock. You'll hear me on 710 ESPN, and you'll hear Mario stuff in the pregame show too, and a postgame. Well, you can also listen to it on the ESPN LA app as well. And since it's a home game, if you do have the MLS season pass, by the way, if you're a fan of MLS, you watch it on Apple TV, you can hit the home radio button there on the down lower right side, and you can get my call there as well.
I do it all the time. I love it. It's a whole different experience.
That.
I love,
it's kind of fun.
Not for our games because we're working, but for other teams around the league, I like to tune in to the local radio guys. It's fun. It's awesome to hear the local guys call the goals. It's just got different excitement, different passion. It's awesome.
Sure.
Just hit that
I enjoy
button
that
on
too.
The bottom right side and pick. You can pick English, Spanish, or local radio. So do that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've heard from people on social media, like people you wouldn't think would be LAFC fans. I'm talking like totally different parts of the country, parts of the world. That are they hit the home radio button, and so that's how they've kind of become fans, which is great. I'm truly flattered by that, and it's awesome that you're an LAFC fan. And if that's how it got you there, that's a great feature, no doubt about it. So if you want to do that, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be incredible. I do want to mention one thing before we go, Mario. Episode 65, almost in the books. A lot of rumors swirling, right? And we do want to reiterate on this show. If nothing is official about certain things, and yes, there are plenty of rumors swirling for many teams now that the window is open in MLS. Certainly LAFC is active, at least if you're to believe rumors and all that. And of course they are. LAFC are always looking to improve that. We are not going to share rumors on this show, right? We wait until things are official and announced, and then we'll talk about them, how they affect the team. We're not breaking news here. That is not what we do for LAFC. That's not our, yes, we might have heard some things, but that doesn't matter. We're not sharing stuff that's rumors or things that aren't official and that kind of thing. We just want to let you know in case you might have tuned in earlier, like, why aren't they talking about this? Or that's not what we do on this show. So I just wanted to lay that out there real quick. But of course, LAFC is looking to improve their roster here in this window. Let's just give you a wink and a smile on that one. Just leave it at that. So, but we appreciate that too.
Well put.
Yeah, thanks. Again, LAFC hosting Portland Friday night, airtime 7 o'clock for the pregame on 710 ESPN and the ESPN LA app. Mario, great stuff as always, man. Episode 65 now in the books. Take us out of here.
Yeah, we got some good interviews too for the pregame show for tomorrow night. I talked to Cherundolo. I talked to Marky Delgado as well. Some interesting stuff. So make sure you tune into their broadcast 7 p.m. like Dave Denholm just said. Dave Denholm's going to be on the call on 710 ESPN and the ESPN LA app. Till the next time, we'll catch you on the next one. All right, peace.